Hello, my name is Karina and welcome to my channel, Life's Little Things. Welcome to Fall Friday Soups number 2. This soup that I'm sharing with you today is called chicken pot pie soup. It is so good, just saying. I got this recipe from a neighbor many years ago. She had made the soup and brought it over to us, and wow. When we had it, I was like, I need that recipe. It was so good. So, of course, she went ahead and copied off the recipe and gave it to me. Now, this recipe calls for you to bake up some pie crust in the oven, and then you can dip pie crust into the soup. But the time that she brought the soup over to us, she had actually taken puff pastry, put it in the oven, cut it up, and we got to dip puff pastry into the soup. So that's what I'm going to do again with this one. I have had it with the pie crust, and if you do use pie crust, you might want to go ahead and get the double pack of them and cook up 2, just because you are going to have leftovers and you definitely want some of the pie crust dipped in or put into the soup. It just makes it a little extra special. Now, the recipe to this soup, it looks pretty difficult to do, but it isn't. I like to keep soups where you basically just dump all the ingredients in together and let it simmer and it's done. So that is what I have tried to do with this soup, instead of just cook this separate, mix them together, and you got all these dishes. It's like, let's just try to keep soup simple, right? Do you feel that way? Also, the recipe is down below, so grab a hold of it because you are definitely going to want to add this to your soup recipes. Okay, let me show you how to make this terrific soup. These are the ingredients you will need for this soup. You need 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 1 tablespoon of bouillon flavoring, I use chicken, salt and pepper. It gives specifics, but I don't do that. 1 cup of heavy cream, 4 medium potatoes peeled and diced, half a cup of flour, half a cup of vegetable oil, but I have canola, 1.5 pound of boneless, skinless chicken. I'm using chicken breasts, and we already have them all diced for this recipe. 1.5 pound of frozen mixed vegetable, 2 stalks of celery, and 1/2 of an onion, and both of those need to be diced. Also, you can use a store-bought pie crust. It says just to use 1. I have used a store-bought pie crust, and you are going to want to use 2 of them because there is leftovers with this soup. Or you can use puff pastry, and today I'm going to use puff pastry. If you are using puff pastry, first thing you want to do is set it out on wax paper and get it thawing so that you can put it in the oven later. Okay, I am frying up my chicken, and I went ahead and put seasonings on it, and I am cooking it up a little bit, and then I'm going to add it to the soup pot in just 1 second. Okay, to the soup pot, you are going to add 8 cups of water. One tablespoon of the bouillon seasoning, and I am going to add the chicken. And you know, you can add the chicken raw if that's what you want. Mine isn't fully cooked. I figure it can cook in the, you're basically creating a broth to this recipe. But in the recipe, it tells you to like boil the chicken, take the chicken out, do, you know, and everything's so separate. And when I made this, of course, the first time I stuck closer to the recipe, but then afterwards I was like, no, let's simplify that recipe, definitely. So that's what I've done over the years, is just trying to keep it really simple and have less dishes. To the same pan that I had the chicken into, I am going to heat 1/2 cup of oil and add the diced celery and onions to the oil, and you are going to saute these. Okay, once your onions and celery are sauteed, they're actually kind of getting brown in this oil. It smells really good. You are going to make a roux. So you take your half a cup of flour and a whisk, and you whisk, whisk, whisk away. I'm going to turn my burner down to low, just so I don't burn the flour. Okay, at this point, you are going to add your 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And your pepper. And combine all of those flavors, and then I'm going to take this and set it on the back burner on low. I just want to keep this warm until I can add it to the soup. Once your chicken has come up to a boil, you are going to set your timer for 10 minutes and let it just boil in that broth. After the 10 minutes, you take the roux and you are going to add it into the broth, and you are going to whisk it in to the broth. I wish you could smell how good this smells. Oh my goodness. It's mouth-watering. Seriously. Okay, it says bring it back up to a boil, which mine is. And then I'm going to add the potatoes. If you want to, you can add more salt or seasonings at this point. And then you're going to take your frozen vegetables, you're going to add those to your soup pot. Now this called for 1.5 pounds of vegetables, and I couldn't find that exact one. So I'm gonna, let's see if I even want more. That's 1 pound there. I think that's good. There's a lot of vegetables in that. I was gonna go a little more on the vegetables, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna keep these out. I'll save those for another recipe another day. Now you are going to bring this back up to a boil, and you are going to simmer this covered for 15 minutes. Make sure you put your pie crust or puff pastry into the oven according to the package directions. Okay, after the 15 minutes is up, you are going to take 1 cup of heavy cream, and you are going to pour that into the soup. And then you are going to let this simmer for 5 more minutes, and then it's done. And I will show you when we get it in the bowls.